So the first step is to load your film into the camera. So all you have to do on this model is pull out the film carrier, open it up, take your film shiny side up, line up your negative with the opening, close it, and slide it back into the holder. If you need to adjust slightly, you can actually lift up on this little lever and you can move your negative around a little bit to size your image. Later on, when you want to resize your image, on this model you just push the bar and squeeze a little bit, and then you can move it up and down. And when you need to focus your image, that'll be the dial on the side. On the other style of enlarger, you have to take a lever. There's a lever on the side and you have to move it up to take the pressure off the plate, and then you can also open up the plate. Again, same thing, film shiny side up on the square, pop it in, and you have to make sure these ridges line up with the bolts that are in the back, and then you can lower the head down to have your image. If you want to modify it slightly, again, you have to take the pressure off before you can move your negative around. And for moving the head up and down, these are a little different. They just slide up and down, and there is a bolt here, and that's for focusing, and there's another screw down here which is for tightening the head so it doesn't move. So if it's tight, the head won't move, and if it's loose, then it just slides up and down. So what this looks like in practice now is that if you're set up, your film is in, and you set your camera to focus so you can see the image. I'm going to move the timer out of the way. You can see that there's our image, and if we move the head of the enlarger up or down, the image size will change. And you also notice that as I move up, the image gets dimmer, which means it will need more time for printing. The nice thing about working with the enlarger is that you can choose right away how to crop the image, what part of the image to keep. So I'm going to choose around here, and now the next step is I have to focus my image. So I'm turning that dial on the side of the head of the enlarger to turn it until I have a nice sharp image. And there you can see the image is nicely in focus on her face. So now I've got the image, and now the big question is, how do I actually figure out how much time do I need to print that image for? So before we do that, we need to click down the aperture to make it slightly darker so that we get better contrast and a better variety of time. So I'm going to click, 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 and make it 3 stops darker. So stopping down the aperture means turning the ring of the lens just 2 to 3 clicks darker, so you have a darker image. So to figure out how much time I actually need to print my picture, what I've done is I've taken a piece of photo paper and cut it into strips. So I'm going to lay that across my image. I'm going to take the envelope that I have for my film, and I'm going to cover up almost all but the small part of the print. I have my timer set to 1 second, and I'm going to give it 1 second of light. Then I move down a bit and I take another second, and I keep moving down the sheet, always giving it 1 second at a time. And I purposely put the strip across the face of the person so that when I get the image, I get the best combination. So now I'm going done, and now I will develop this and see how much time I actually need. Once you've developed your test strip, you can use the viewing spot to lay it on the tray and push it in and look in to count your seconds. So what that looks like is, if you look at the strip, you can see the clearly defined edges of where it moves from 1 second to 2 seconds to 3 to 4 and so on. So now that I'm looking at that, I can tell that 4 seconds is a good time, so I can now go to my enlarger and make my print. I'm going to lift up my easel. I'm going to take up the photo paper. I'm going to make sure the photo paper lines up with these metal ridges that are on here. Close down the lid again, set my timer to the 4 seconds that I want to use, and I'm going to hit the start button. And now all I have to do is take that photo paper back out and develop it to see my final print. So here's the final print, and here's the test strip, and you can see how there's the 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds that I used for printing it. And a special shout out to the person who left their film in the enlarger, allowing me to use it for this demo.